today is we're going to make sure the turbo has oil for the first startup. Quality control check. I want to physically see oil coming out the feed line that I plumbed with an adapter to the turbo. And now why would I do that? Without oil, I'm sure there's assembly oil in the turbo. But as soon as we kick that engine on, the exhaust gases are going to start spinning that turbo. How long does that assembly oil last? I don't know. I don't care. I don't trust it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prime the oil system to physically see oil come into this turbocharger. I had the oil pan off the car, welded a bung for the return line. Typically, this car did not come turbo, so all the oiling and the pressure was inside the engine, internal only. I'm bringing oil external to the turbo, back to the pan. I want to see it. I want to know. I'm not guessing. So what are we going to do? We're going to put a clear container at the feed line, at the top, fresh oil in the engine. I'm going to unclip the ignition coils. I'm going to pull the relay for the fuel pump, and we're going to turn the engine over until oil starts going into that container. Then I will hook that line back up to the turbo, and I am sure on the first startup, oil is going to be at the turbo or within reason, 2-3 seconds. With a bone dry feed line, how long does it take from oil to get from the sump to the filter, housing, and then to the turbo? 10 seconds, 15, 30? I don't know. I don't care. I want it there right away. And yeah, we're just not guessing around here. We're going to prime the turbo. Super simple. My buddy's coming next week to input all the data so we could do the first fire up. Already did the fuel system. Now it's time for the oiling system. And yeah, let's do it. So there you have it. Easy way. We just want to check the function of the external oiling system to go to the turbocharger. And just because the line's brand new, the adapter's brand new, I plumbed it. I used a little Teflon tape. When used correctly, it works very well. And there's an oil pressure sensor on that adapter. Could I rely on that oil pressure sensor to tell me that oil is going to get to the turbo? No. That pressure sensor is getting oil pressure. That doesn't mean it's making its way through that line to the top where the turbo is at and entering into the turbo. So pop the top of that line off, disable the ignition, disable the fuel, pull your spark plugs out if you can, get that engine cranking over, and just check that oil's making its way into that container. If you do it with a running engine, 80 pounds of oil pressure, it's a lot of oil pressure for a little container to check. I don't like to do it that way. I'm also here by myself, so I'm not going to rely on running around and trying to turn the key off. So yeah, double check the turbo's getting oil, protect the investment. The whole reason this car is here is because he wanted to go turbocharged. I want to give that turbo a chance at a long life. I want to know it's going to have what it needs to operate, which is fresh oil. And you're going to hear me say it all the time. Keep it simple. Let's cross off the checklist before we fire it up. And then we can worry about other things. And then we can finish it to get it on the dyno. And that's when the smiles start coming out, when the horsepower starts coming in, when the tuner on the dyno gets to just worry about tuning, because we went through all the checklists. There's no leaks, there's oil to the turbo. Everything's checked out, and then we're gonna be happy. Thanks for watching.